Hey, welcome to Euripides and Medea. Our objective here, students will be able to list key information about Euripides and Greek drama and compare it to modern drama. So what is this Medea and this Euripides? Why are we reading it? That's what you'll be thinking about as we go through these slides. First, let's back up just a tiny bit and talk about where we are in the semester. Our unit fits into semester one, how voice shapes the truth. And at the end of this semester, you will have written your higher level essay, which is part of the IB assessment. We started by writing personal narratives, right? The college application essay. And we had this question, how can you use your own voice to find your own story, or excuse me, how can you use, or how can you, there's a typo, my bad. How can we use our own voice to find our own story? And then we're reading two very different stories that use voice to shape a desired outcome. One that is an ancient Greek play, that's our Medea, and then we'll read another one afterwards, which is a novel. Asking these questions, how do we analyze voice in literary essays? How can voice shape truth? And what if there is no objective truth? All right, so those are the questions we'll be thinking about. The unit that we already took care of, we had the Unit 0 intro, and we did all that good stuff there. Now we're moving on to Medea. This is our second unit. We're calling it Unit 1 because the Unit 0 was more of an introductory unit. This one's a little bit more like a regular old literature unit. Formative assessments are going to be 20% of your grade, and they will include the unit packet and mastery checks. And then summative assessment is 80% of your grade. There's two summative assessments this time around. There's a mid-unit test of 50 summative points and an end-of-the-unit summative assessment as well, which is a sort of proto higher level essay of about 750 words. Okay, we have to work on this pie, right, to get our IB test score. And you have already done some of it. You did the internal assessment last year, and that was 20%. Now we're moving on to the higher level essay, and that's another 20%. So that's what we're going to be working on this semester. You're going to write two proto higher level essays, choose between one or the other to continue with, and then crank it out and submit your higher level essay. There's also another option of writing on another work that you read in 11th grade but didn't test on. So I want to let you know about that too. Okay, the next unit after this one is Unit 2, the things they carried, what is truth, and we're going to have a similar kind of unit there where we look at some of the same things, and you're going to write a proto higher level essay. That one will be a little bit longer than the one for Medea. Okay, so let's move on now to your Cornell notes in the packet and talk about drama. Drama is also called theater, and it's one of the 4 forms of literature. According to IB, this is how IB kind of categorizes literature. They call them forms, which are really large genres. We've got prose fiction, we've got prose nonfiction, we've got drama, which is theater, and then we also have poetry. So we will be studying all 4 forms this year. Right now, we are starting with drama. How's drama a little bit different? The key is that it is performed. And so we always have to add a layer of imagination when we analyze drama, because we have to imagine what it would be like to be an audience member watching this being performed. And especially when it's ancient Greek tragedy, then we have to imagine what it would be like to be an Athenian in 5th century BC watching this performed. There's also two types of texts within a drama. There's the primary text, which is the main body of the play spoken by the characters. And there's also secondary text, which is the text surrounding or accompanying the main text. So that would include stage directions and any other footnotes or other things like that. Those are all added by the publishers who publish the Greek tragedies. Those were not part of the original Greek play, which had little to none by way of secondary text. We also have to think of other things that are going on in the play, like multimedia elements, music, sound effects, lighting, stage props, when we're analyzing drama. We have to think about the space, the fact that it's all happening right in front of us on the stage, and then what kind of setting is being created with that space. We also have to think about the perspective, the point of view from which the information is given. Which character is telling us which information, and how does that change how we view the information as the audience. The time also is important. Sometimes time is odd because when you're watching a play, it's all happening before you in a couple hours, and it might be the course of a day like it is with Medea, or it might be a longer amount of time. And things might be happening one after the other, like we use, that's what the word succession means, or at the same time. The word simultaneity means at the same time. Okay, so let's talk about this guy, Euripides. It's kind of a fun name to say, Euripides. I don't know. I enjoy it. He lived from 480 to probably about 406 BC. So, wow, that's a long time ago. 2,500 years ago, 2,500. It boggles the mind to start thinking about these ancient Greeks, doesn't it? He's an ancient Greek tragedian. There are really three main tragedians, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. And there were others besides these guys, but these are the ones whose plays still remain. All the others have been lost. And he was the one who was known as the innovator, the younger of the three, who made changes to the typical kinds of conventions of Greek tragedy and other plays. And one of the main innovations he brought in was treating these mythological characters like real human beings who were just put in strange circumstances. And that's something I think that really resonates with his plays still in our modern world now. He wrote more than 90 plays, 18 survive. Medea was first performed in 431 BC. And it was one of three plays he presented at a contest in Athens. And he won third. Sounds great, except that was the last place. And people say now, well, maybe it's because Medea is kind of a tough play to watch if you are an Athenian. So you'll have to think about that as we read the play, and what Athenians may have thought about Medea, what happens to her and others because of her, and how it maybe was a little too shocking for the regular consumer of theater. Let's talk ancient Greek theater. Well, it started in Greece in the 6th century BC, and they took place on festival days celebrating the Greek god Dionysus. They were competitive, so you would have three tragedians or three playwrights, and they would compete. They would each bring three plays to fruition and have them performed, and then there would be voting that would take place. They were performed outside in amphitheaters, or in an amphitheater called a theatron that held up to 15,000 people. So think about this. This is before we have any kind of electronic amplification systems, and yet there were live plays being held with 15,000 in attendance. So it was pretty incredible that the acoustics could do that people could kind of hold their breath and listen to a live presentation together like that. But it was a big deal. It was really a highlight of the year for Athenians, and it was something that people really looked forward to. It was a huge celebration. There were no special effects or lights and practically no scenery in the amphitheater. It was broad daylight, and it looked something like this. So the people were seated here, and we have some different things happening here, buildings where the actors maybe stayed hidden for a while, and where we have some contraptions like the Deus Ex Machina that we will hear about more in Medea, housed in there. And then the performers would perform right here for the most part. And the performers were really just 3 people at a time. And then we had the chorus, who was 12 to 15 people. And the costumes were pretty elaborate. Masks covered their whole heads, and they were with exaggerated faces, probably so that people in the back could have some kind of understanding of the attitudes that the characters had. They were only men, so men would play women wearing these masks. And they had a little bit of training, but not a whole lot. And then the chorus members had very little training at all. Euripides would have been not only the writer, he would have also been the director and the choreographer and composer. There was singing and dancing in these Greek tragedies. The chorus is really what did the singing and the dancing. Now, they didn't really look like this, but I got that up there just to get you thinking about how the chorus did operate. It's kind of interesting, the closest translation of the concept of directing a play from Greek, which is where the origins of modern theater come from, translates to teach a chorus. And so the chorus is really central to theater, to Greek theater, Greek drama. They sing and dance to music. The lines that are in our text would have been sung, and the chorus would have been moving. They'd been dancing together, delivering the lines together at the same time in unity, in chorus. Then there would have been some instruments as well in the background playing music for them. So they're a communal voice, they're moving together. And in Medea, the chorus is female. And that's not always the case, but in this particular play, all of the chorus members are Athenian women. Now, like I just told you, they're being played by male actors, right, with masks on, but they're supposed to be women. The functions of the chorus are to provide a lot of background information. They give us information on, like, even back mythology and, like, stuff that isn't part of the play's story itself. They reinforce a particular topic by repeating something that maybe one of the characters said. They also reflect the feelings of the audience. Oftentimes, what the chorus says is kind of what you're feeling as an audience member, or maybe what the Athenian audience felt at the time watching the play. And then they also have a larger role too, a kind of universal role, which is sort of above and beyond the characters on stage, and becomes really somewhat